Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 in this 18-part series of me reading from my book, Odd Man Out, True Stories of a Gay Black Swimmer. If you were able to watch part 1, you got an idea of the motivation and inspiration that led to me writing this book. And if you didn't, well, then I'll put up a link for, whoa. Okay, so there's the link for you right there. So go ahead and click that link and you'll be able to watch part 1 and then come back here to part 2. So let's go on and get to part 2, and I will read from chapter 1 of my book. I'll read a short passage, and to give you a little backstory, this is about my first ever swimming coach. A lot of my success in swimming can be pinpointed to those first 8 years swimming for Val Taylor. Many kids call their coaches Coach or use their first name these days, but Val Taylor was always Mr. Taylor to the swimmers. Even the older ones had the same reverence for him. Mr. Taylor had been stricken with polio as a child, and in his adult years, he walked around with a pronounced limp. He couldn't run, but he could definitely get around with no problem. He ruled with an iron fist and a wooden paddle wrapped from one end to the other with masking tape. If a swimmer got out of line, he or she would get a few whacks on the behind with the paddle. If you did freestyle instead of breaststroke on a set, you got the paddle. If you were late, you got the paddle. In front of your teammates and in front of other parents. The whacks were so loud they echoed off the pool walls. You could hear them underwater. After we got our licks, we would put our goggles on and fill them up with our tears. There was no crying on the Herbert Hoover Boys Club swim team. These days, Mr. Taylor would have been sued before the first whack could have been placed, but no one questioned it while I was on the team. It built character, and we always feared the paddle, so we always tried to do what we were told. If we wanted to play in the water, we could come to the open swim just before practice. The paddle was so feared that one day we found it lying on Mr. Taylor's desk and hid it in the boiler room so no kid would get a beating that day. Naturally, Mr. Taylor sought out the guilty party and whipped them good. The legend of the paddle was well known on other swim teams. A couple of times when friends would come to our swim clubs for meets, we would show them the paddle and they would handle it as if it were the Ark of the Covenant. But it wasn't all torture. I got an immeasurable amount of joy on the days we practiced fundamentals. Another word for fundamentals would be drills. But I'm glad we used fundamentals. It had the word fun in it. It broke the boredom of swimming back and forth. We'd swim a length of the pool freestyle using only one arm. Or we'd see who could swim a length of breaststroke with the fewest strokes. Almost the entire workout would be spent working on fundamentals, and hardly anyone got a whack with the paddle on those days. I might not have been the prettiest swimmer in the pool in my preteen years, but my technique was solid. I was one of the best swimmers between the flags, which meant I had bad turns off the walls. I remember a race at our pool when I was 11 or 12 years old. I was racing Bobby Rogers, the tallest kid you'll ever see under the age of 16. He was untouchable in backstroke, and on this day, he definitely would have won on style points. But I touched the wall first in our 100 backstroke race. More than teaching me how to swim all the strokes, Mr. Taylor taught me how to race. Mr. Taylor is responsible for teaching hundreds of black kids in St. Louis how to swim over a career spanning more than 30 years. And because he was able to plant the seed that made me the swimmer and person I am today, Mr. Taylor holds the closest place in my heart among all the coaches I've had. So that's a reading from chapter 1 of my book, Odd Man Out, True Stories of a Gay Black Swimmer. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you'll be back for part 3 when I'll read from chapter 2. And again, here's that link if you didn't get a chance to see chapter 1. And thank you again for letting me share your story. Feel free to post comments in the section below. And if you'd like to order a copy of my book for $15.95, and I will be happy to sign it for you, there is a link in the description box just below this video player. So thanks, and I'll see you next time.